Hello my friends, today I wanted to go over some popular luxury summer staples with you that I feel like you'll see a lot of on social media in the coming month, even though I don't think that all of these pieces are necessarily worth the money and the hype, and I genuinely don't think that these pieces would be nearly as popular as they are if it wasn't for luxury social media. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on which pieces to avoid and not give in to the FOMO, even if the cult following of some of these pieces will not be happy with me, and my thoughts on the pieces that are actually great and will be staples in your collection for a really long time, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. Let's start with probably one of the most iconic luxury pieces of all time, because I feel like whether you love Hermes or you don't, as long as you're into luxury fashion, you have probably looked at these pieces or maybe even own them, which are the Izmir and orange sandals from Hermes. Now, the main difference between the two styles is really the shape and the cut, but the overall idea is virtually the same. They are two pairs of sandals with an H on top. The orange sandals, which are made for women, are a lot more narrow and petite, and then the Izmir sandals are obviously a lot wider, and then the H is also proportionally bigger, but at the end of the day, it is pretty much the same idea. And when it comes to these styles, I do think that they're still worth the hype. They are incredibly comfortable. They go with anything and everything. And there is that little je ne sais quoi element that they will add to an outfit as long as you go for the right leather, the right color, and the right finish, because they pretty much come in every single color under the sun at this point. They do them in fun prints, in fun finishes like silk or even wool skin, which they're bringing back for spring summer in a ton of fun colors. So at this point, I would definitely steer you in the direction of getting them in a more unique finish or a more unique color. But let's be honest, these are sandals that you cannot go wrong with, especially considering how flattering they are on most people. And even if you're not a fan of flat shoes, you can actually buy them with different heel heights if you prefer a little bit of elevation. But I still think that these are a great pair of shoes to invest in, as long as you're actually going to wear them, because if you're as big of a germaphobe as I am, you can buy as many of them as you want. As beautiful as they are, you're just simply not going to wear them. I could count on one hand how many times I've worn my Izmir sandals. I bought them in Python a few years ago thinking that I'm going to change and I'm actually going to wear sandals out because I love this style so much. I have to tell you, I did not change. Have worn them a couple of times in the city and my feet got so dirty that I spent 15 minutes scrubbing them in the shower and never reached for them again. So I am keeping them for a beachy holiday. I don't see myself wearing them anywhere else. I would much rather buy a pair of espadrilles, which I did recently, just because I find the idea of wearing those in the city a lot more comfortable than wearing a pair of sandals. And at the end of the day, they do add a similar look and feel to your outfit. But if you love a pair of sandals, I still think that there is a time and a place for both the orange and the Izmir sandals in your collection. I know most people will disagree with me when it comes to these next pieces, but I have to be honest with you and I have to share with you my honest thoughts. And we're going to be talking about the infamous Chanel Grandpa sandals, which I'm just going to be honest, these shoes don't work for 99.9% of the people who own them. I could count on one hand, to be exact, I've seen it on one person where I felt that they did actually something for that person. They complemented their outfit. Most of the time, all these shoes will do for you is they will make your legs look shorter, they will make your outfits seem a lot more tired, and it will make it seem like you put zero effort into getting dressed in the morning, even if that's not the case. I just don't think that these shoes are easy to style and that they work for most people. I mean, if you're Naomi Campbell walking down the Chanel runway, will this look great on you? Yes, but let's be honest, Naomi Campbell could make anything work. I just don't think that these shoes are universally flattering, and I personally would definitely not recommend them. I mean, if you love them, if you find them incredibly comfortable, you appreciate the aesthetic that they have, by all means go for them and enjoy them. You're spending your own money, you're not spending mine. So what I think at the end of the day really doesn't matter. But if you're interested in my thoughts, avoid these, don't touch them, don't go near them, because I can guarantee that they will not look great and flattering on most people, unless you're going for the aesthetic of a tourist who is driving cross country in a minivan. I would not go for these, and I understand that it's an aesthetic, but I don't think it's the one that most people are going for when they're spending Chanel kind of money. Let's talk about a popular accessory that under normal circumstances I wouldn't recommend, but I feel like if you love the way they look and if you've been toying with the idea of getting them, it's really the time to do it now, which are Twillies. Now, obviously, Twillies is the name that Hermes gave to these really thin little silk scarves, but most luxury brands do them at this point. You can get them from Dior, you can get them from Louis Vuitton, but I do think that if you're going to spend the money on them, you should get them from Hermes. And even though I usually wouldn't recommend that you put these on your bag, if you've seen my previous videos, you know my thoughts on these. Can they help protect your bags? Yes, they sure can, but are they a necessity? Absolutely not. I feel like oftentimes, especially when it comes to the luxury community online, people will make you feel like that Twillies are a must-have, and if you don't put them on the handles of your bags as soon as you get them, the handles will fall apart within weeks, which is just simply not true. Hermes bags were made to last, not to mention that Twillies were not even really invented to protect the handles of your bags. Can they do something? Yes, they 1000% can. But if you don't like the way they look, do you need them? No, and you still don't need them in the summer. But if you want to add a pop of color or a pop of print to your bags, it is a great time to do it now, especially if your hands get sweaty or if you have a ton of sunscreen on that you don't want to get on the handle of your bags. You can accessorize them with Twillies, or you can switch up your leather bracelets and your leather accessories to Twillies. You can tie Twillies around your neck, in your hair, around your wrist, because in the summer you probably don't want to wear a super heavy, thick leather bracelet, in which case Twillies are the way to go. This next trend I'm actually really tempted by, even though I have a suspicion that if I bought into it, it would probably make me look like a lunatic. I'll keep you posted if I end up giving into the temptation. But the next pieces that we'll be discussing are bucket hats, which I feel like Dior is responsible for bringing back into the spotlight. And since then, most brands have come out with their own version of a bucket hat, but the standouts to me are definitely the Celine bucket hats, which I actually think would be quite flattering on you, even if you have a smaller head, because the Celine bucket hats are a lot more shallow than most bucket hats out there. Obviously, you can go for the Dior ones, which at this point one could argue are quite overdone, but I still think that they are a great piece to have in your collection. And then Hermes also does bucket hats. They've always done them, but I think in the past years they have definitely been doing them in more colors and even more finishes. So if you're looking for an Hermes bucket hat, check out the Eden bucket hats for women. And they also do a ton of different font styles for men too. So you have plenty to choose from. I actually have a confession to make. Today's video was supposed to be a bag unboxing because this next bag that we'll be talking about, I almost bought. I actually went to the boutique earlier to not just look at it, but to actually buy it. But I was so underwhelmed by the quality that this is the video that we ended up with. And the bag in question is the Prada. I think it doesn't really have a name, they just call it the raffia tote bag, which is a style that launched last year. And last year I never even looked at it twice. I thought it was a cute bag, but I didn't really have the need for it. But this year I really wanted to get an easy, simple grab and go tote bag. And I thought about buying the Prada one. I envisioned how I was going to style it. I was going to get the black one, which probably is not going to be a surprise. I was going to buy the black one, and I was actually going to wear it with my Kelly Twilly back charm, just for an added touch of Hermes. So I went to buy this bag. I knew how much it was going to be. I was like, yes, it's expensive for a simple tote bag, but I do like the way it looks, and I feel like I would get my money's worth out of it. But I was so disappointed disappointed and underwhelmed by the quality. Obviously, I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be a leather bag. It wasn't going to be comparable to a more well-constructed bag. But I didn't expect this bag to feel so cheap and almost wiry and kind of plasticky. I cannot even put into words how incredibly cheap this bag felt in person. It looked decent. There wasn't anything wrong with the way it looked, but the way it felt and just how I feel like this bag would hold up, I did not feel like was worth the price. So this bag did not come home with me, even though I loved the way it looked. And if this bag was 1/3 of the price, I would have had no issue with it. I would have thought that it was a fun piece to have. But for the kind of money that they charge for this bag, which is comparable to something like an Hermes Evelyn, which I understand they're going to do really different things in your collection. They are not comparable, but just if I think of the value and the kind of work that goes into the creation of these bags, I just didn't think, I just simply couldn't pull the trigger and justify buying that bag. Even though I loved the way it looked, for the way it felt, I didn't feel like it was worth the money. And last but not least, the trend that I wanted to discuss was the idea of mini bags, which obviously have been all the craze for the past couple of years, but I feel like in the summer mini bags are more popular than they are all year round, just because I guess more people are free. You might go on holiday where you don't need to take a bag as big as a tote bag that you would take to work on a regular basis. So I understand why there is a want and a need for mini bags in the summer. But there are a few things for you to consider, and I feel like that this coming summer is going to be the time for Fendi mini bags. They have been coming out with mini bags on a regular basis. I'm seeing more and more people talking about Fendi mini bags. They have the new cookie bag, which is a more recent launch. They obviously have their mini baguette. They're coming out with new mini peekaboos. So there is definitely plenty for you to choose from. And overall, I'm a big fan of Fendi bags. I think when it comes to the quality and the pricing, they're pretty reasonably priced for what they actually add to your collection. So when it comes to Fendi bags, they do get my seal of approval. But I would say there are two things you have to consider before buying into a mini bag. The first one should go without saying, but obviously mini bags are not going to be for everyone. If you like a larger bag, if you're used to fitting everything into your bag, including the kitchen sink, mini bags are not going to be for you and you're going to be disappointed unless you want to carry a mini bag alongside with a larger bag like the Prada tote bag, which I wouldn't buy, but if you have a similar bag in your collection, you could definitely pair a mini bag with that and you can do it in a really fun way. You could even put your mini bag on the larger bag as a charm or just carry them separately. I think that is a pretty accepted look at this point, but that is something for you to keep in mind, how much you carry on a daily basis. And then the other thing that I would consider is if the mini bag that you're buying fits at least a credit card. I don't think that you can call a mini accessory or a mini SLG a mini bag if it doesn't fit at least a credit card. For me, a mini bag has to fit a credit card. That is not something that I'm willing to negotiate on. It might not fit a phone, it might not fit a lip balm, but it at least has to fit a couple of credit cards for it to be considered not only a bag but an actual functional piece in my collection. So I would say that if you're going to be investing in a mini bag this coming season, make sure that it at least fits a credit card, maybe a lip balm, maybe your AirPods, maybe your keys. That's kind of how much you can expect when it comes to most mini bags. And my friends, now it's your turn to let me know in the comment section what you think about these pieces. Which one of these do you love? Which one of these do you own? Which one of these do you dislike? I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. I hope to see you back here with a new video really, really soon. But for now, bye.